told you he wasn't going to like the lowercase treatment. Jeremy Frank joining us at MLB Random Stats on Twitter. His most recent tweet says, "Tune in ESPN," but this one's funnier, so we show you that first. Jeremy joins KBO Book Club because he's written 2 books. Jeremy is a student at Purdue, and we welcome you in. Jeremy, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm kind of nervous trying to follow up that last guy you had on. I'm trying to look for some instruments in my basement, but I can't find anything.
You should just start banging drums. I mean, whatever you got. We have come a long way from me speaking to your... Yeah, right? We've come a long way from me speaking to your Purdue Analytics Club like months ago. Now we can't even be in the same room. But I want to know, like, you're a published author twice over. You and your buddy Jim have written 2 volumes of Hidden Ball Trick, which is great stuff. How did this all happen for you? You got like 57,000 Twitter followers. You're a great follow, and you're like 10 years old. How did this happen?
I appreciate it, yeah. So me and my buddy Jim Passon, not to be confused with Jeff Passon at ESPN, we both run pretty similar accounts on Twitter, posting a bunch of just random baseball stats. My Twitter handle is MLB Random Stats, so pretty much exactly what the handle says. But just one day we kind of had the idea to try and organize our tweets in a better way than just randomly putting them out. So that's kind of where we came up with the idea. We've written, I got both books right here. Not sure if you'll be able to see that on the broadcast, but the first book goes from 1876 to 1919, and the second book goes from 1920 to 1969, and the third book is in the works. So it's been really fun being able to just study baseball history and being able to find some of the coolest baseball stats from just all time.
Jeremy, where did this love for random stats, but even baseball, begin for you?
Yeah, so I've been a baseball fan my whole life. Both my parents and my extended family are just really big baseball fans. And growing up in school, math was always my best subject. So baseball stats was really a great like intersection between the two. I'd always be keeping stats for like my little league team that my dad coached. So it's pretty much been a part of my life since T-ball, just playing baseball, and then eventually watching the movie Moneyball really opened my eyes into kind of just how much baseball and numbers can combine with each other.
Give us some random stats.
You'll have to buy the book.
Oh my God, this is not how book club works, okay? First rule of book club is you got to tell us stuff from your book.
I'll give you one stat. So in 1884, the Chicago White Stockings, they changed some ground rules so that their ballpark had like a fence that was less than 200 feet. And so, as you could imagine, there were a lot of home runs hit. In fact, the first 4 players to hit 20 home runs all came from that 1884 White Stockings team, which is pretty incredible. And no one really did it again. I think no one topped that 27 home runs by Ned Williamson until Babe Ruth did it 30, 40 years later. So that one ground rule change, they changed it back pretty quick because it led to a lot of offense. But just those kind of stats that like no one would ever really know about just because it was from so long ago are really interesting to us.
See, that wasn't so hard, was it? There's strike 3. Jeremy's going to join us again for the next half inning, and maybe, just maybe, we can get a little more blood from the stone from his book. He's got it under lock and key. More next. Hey, listen, if you're watching this game, this is Jeremy Frank, who's written a couple books. There's a third one on the way. If you're sitting at home and you're saying, hey, you know, like, we're in a pandemic, I don't really know what I can do to make my mark in the world, even outside of a pandemic. Jeremy, you're a wonderful story of taking something that you love and making it a thing. You got 57,000 plus Twitter followers, and your love for baseball is something that a lot of baseball fans enjoy following. So we're glad you could join us, and we hope that you've gotten your book from under lock and key, and maybe you can share some more random stats if we can just squeeze them out of you.
All right, I got one for you right here. So one of my favorite players from like the early live ball era is Rogers Hornsby. I think he's super underrated because of Babe Ruth obviously was tearing it up in the American League, but a lot of people kind of overlook Hornsby in the National League. So from August 20th to August 29th in 1924, I'm reading this from my book because I don't have this in my memory. He played in 14 games in a 10-day span because they played 4 doubleheaders. and he went 34 for 51 with 18 extra base hits and an OPS over 2,000. And there was a pair of doubleheaders on August 20th and August 21st, and he hit 929. He went 13 for 14 in 4 games in 2 days, 2 home runs and a walk. But his Cardinals team only went 2-2 in that span. So it's kind of like the Mike Trout thing, where you could be as good as you possibly can, but the team just couldn't pull out the wins.
He hit 667, and they won 2 of the 4 games. What are they doing?
Well, he hit 667 over the 14-game span, but then over those double headers, he hit 929, and they still only won 2 of those.
Ridiculous.
That's what I love about baseball. I mean, unlike other sports, you could have Roger Hornsby on your team, and it doesn't mean guarantee a win. I mean, it definitely takes everybody on the field. What's your major? What are you doing at Purdue besides writing books and all your Twitter followers and everything else?
Yeah, I'm studying data science, so it's a pretty fitting major. It's just pretty much a combination of statistics and computer science. I'm more into the math than the coding aspect of it, but I'm hoping I could eventually get a career out of data science. It's a pretty big, like, up and coming major that they have.
Any thought to switching your favorite team from the Cubs to the White Sox? As there's a base hit to center field, I'll let you mull that over. It's a base hit for Son.
If I can't be able to, if I'm not gonna be able to watch these games with this broadcasting issue, that I can't even. If the season starts today, I can't watch the Cubs from 45 minutes away from Wrigley Field. So I guess the White Sox might be the only thing I'll be able to watch. So.
I mean, dude, I'm just saying, like, we got some swag on the show for you.
Will that be in August?
In terms of your baseball fandom, you are a Lotte Giants guy too. You sort of adopted them early on, and you were waking up pretty early to watch KBO, weren't you?
Yeah, beginning of the season, I'm like, I can definitely do this. I'm going to be a diehard KBO fan. I slowly realized that my sleep schedule couldn't really handle it, but I really did enjoy watching the earlier games. I can generally stay up for, but these like 4 a.m. starts are kind of tougher. But if you're going to have me on the broadcast, I'll gladly wake up for them.
Jeremy, I get the sense that in like 3 years we're going to have to talk to your people for this sort of thing.
Maybe.
An entourage.
Look, what do you love most about the game of baseball? I mean, we've talked numbers, right? But like, what do you miss most when there's not baseball in your life as a big fan?
Well, my favorite part about like Major League Baseball, I think, are like the quirky aspects that kind of happen, because that's kind of how my tweets get really funny. Is like when there's like a position player pitching in the 16th inning, like last year when the Phillies were playing the White Sox and Vince Velasquez made a diving catch in left field and threw out someone at the plate. Like those are my favorite times in baseball. Like, yes, you have those great 1-0 pitching duels and those 10-9 slugfests. My favorite ones are the ones where like just the unpredictable happens. It always seems to happen, but those are just my favorite baseball games. Try and turn them on and just watch those position players pitching and stuff like that.
What's been more of some of the fun interactions you've had, whether it's on Twitter, just people reaching out, reading your book? I mean, just kind of your life changing a bit as far as, being able to get in touch with so many different kinds of people.
Yeah, well, I'm on ESPN right now. I'd say this is one of the cooler things I've done. I got a great broadcaster, Jason Benetti, to come into Sports Analytics Club at Purdue, hoping he could come in next time he's doing another Purdue basketball game. But just being able to talk to a lot of people in the industry, just a lot of players, a lot of broadcasters like yourselves, and just a lot of people that know a lot more about the game than I do, just trying to learn from them. So it's been really cool to be able to just learn from people who have just been in the game for so long.
Did you just use as a modifier good, great? Like it was good first, and then you just upgraded me to great mid-sentence? If so, I really appreciate it.
He was joking.
Thank you.
Yeah, no.
If it was Dan Dockich, you would have said superb broadcaster. If it was Robbie Hummel, you would have said my favorite person in the world broadcaster. But I'm like,
yeah, you got that
great.
Right.
Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate that, buddy. What's in book number 3 that you and Jim are writing?
Yeah, so it goes from 1970 to I guess we haven't decided if we're gonna include the 2020 season yet, but I mean there's gonna be some crazy things happening if they're gonna be able to complete the season. So I think it would be a really cool conclusion to the book to have just a wild 60-game season where you could see a lot of records shattered and stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to it because I mean I was born in 2001, so a lot of these players, even in the most recent era of baseball, I didn't get to watch play. My mom and my dad might have gotten to see him play. But a lot of these players, like Barry Bonds, I didn't get to see play, but it's super cool looking back at his statistics and stuff like that. So just looking and learning about these guys that a lot of the audience that will be reading the book have actually watched is going to be really cool.
Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us. You are awesome. We wish you the best of luck with your succeeding books, and you've done great stuff already with Jim and on Twitter at MLB Random Stats. Follow him even if he's lowercase.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Jeremy, take care. Jeremy Frank, ladies and gentlemen, KBO Book Club this week. Great story, right? I mean, he's born in 2001. He's already got 57,000 Twitter followers. Like,
I almost fell in my chair when he said that. Like, just wrapping your mind around, like, I was born in 2001, and I now have written 2 books, working on my 3rd, have 55,000 followers on Twitter. I mean, Jeremy, doing well.
He's a volunteer. My
yeah,
favorite thing is how they
love
just
to
don't.
see the success there. I mean, like, 3 books in that
The guy
short
before
period
me
of
was
time.
so funny.
And honestly, like, when people talk about baseball being a sport
Giant super fan.
that
He
you
was
heard
at
it
the
so
game.
much right before the
And there was,
pandemic.
he was, like,
Everybody
banging
always
so
writes
weird.
baseball attendance problems dating back 40 years, 50 years. When you have a sport that young people can care about as much as Jeremy and Jim and Devin Fink on Twitter and that whole group that I was talking about of people who have made a Twitter community and an online community about baseball and the stats, baseball is doing good things and can really lean into that.
Absolutely. And